We are smack dab in the middle of 2022. Flesh and Blood has been out for a while, man, and I got to thinking recently, right? And I really challenged myself on TCG Player a couple weeks back, and I said, you know what, man? If I was brand new to Flesh and Blood, if I was extremely new to Flesh and Blood, right now, in smack dab in the middle of 2022, and I had $50 in my pocket, what would I buy? What would Bronson buy to get in and get some really collectible pieces of cards, but also have some type of playability type aspect? And I really took a while to decide what I wanted to do, and I ultimately picked building a Blitz deck out of alpha cards. And if you don't know, I am a huge buyer of alpha bulk for Flesh and Blood. I own a ton of it, so I'm very biased. But honestly, man, in any trading card game, the alpha cards really maintain value over years and years and years if the game progresses. I mean, the first cards of any game, man, are really important. So I think that they're really cool collectible. Another thing I really like about them is you can really build functional decks out of just the commons and a couple rares of the cards. I mean, there's even a commoner format for Flesh and Blood. So, if you're brand new to Flesh and Blood now, you can just build a whole complete deck of Blitz deck of common cards, and it's a fully functional deck for the commoner format. So it's really big. The deck I built has a couple rares in it, so it's more of a, casual deck. It does function. It's definitely not a top tier deck by any means, but it definitely can function. It definitely can pull out some W's out there. I really want to go through all the deck construction in a little bit, and I'll do a pan down. You can see all the cards in the deck, and I'll explain the philosophy. But honestly, man, if I had $50 right now, there's so many different heroes in Welcome to Wrath Alpha, that you can build a complete commoner set for around $42-50. Some of the key components of the decks, it might be tough to get some key cards, which I'll explain in the Dorinthea deck. But all in all, if you do just shop around and look for all the cards that are like 50 cents or sub $1, you can get a lot of cards to build a complete deck for under $50, and I think that's pretty legit. And honestly, I solely wanted to make this video because I thought it'd be a cool, fun thing to collect and put together. And even though I did have all the bulk, I literally went on TCG Player and found all the cards I needed, put them in my cart, saw that it was around like $42 to $43, and I hit buy, and I purchased them. The cards came here, and I put together the deck. So it was really cool to just have that experience and just put all the cards in the deck, and see it come to life. But all in all, I just wanted to say that this is still a good time period, I think, to get these types of cards. I don't know how long they will be available into the future. And I don't mean to spread any like fear or anything, but I've been tracking the quantities out there for a pretty long time, and it's been drying up even more and more as the months and the years go by. So I just thought it would be a really cool like time capsule video too of, hey, this is the deck I built in mid 2022. And let's see where the value is long term, and let's see if it did anything. But all in all, I don't really give a shit. I love Flesh and Blood. I love these cards, so even if the monetary value doesn't go up, it's all good. I just really think that it's really cool to have a piece of history of the game. And basically, the way I built my deck is it's only Welcome to Wrath Alpha cards. That's it. I didn't have any like unlimited cards, or I didn't have any Crucible War, or any of the other sets for Flesh and Blood. Just Welcome to Wrath Alpha. And of course, you could probably make a much better deck with other sets of cards putting in here, but I just focused on Alpha to just really go with the theme. I also really tried to go with a more just making it based off of Warrior. So you have Dorinthea, and I tried to make like the equipment cards really based off of like what a warrior would wear and what I see is worn in the picture of Dorinthea. And then also with all the cards out here, I tried to make more warrior themed. There's some definitely other options that I could have picked, but I chose not to because I wanted to have the warrior type feel. but also have, good playability. And what's nice is a lot of the warrior like class cards are really good for the strategy, go figure. So without further ado, I'm gonna pan down, show you the whole deck, and go over it. But ultimately, man, it was just a fun thing to build. And for sub $50, I think it's a great thing if you're just like me, where you're a collector, but you also like to play the TCGs as well. I think grabbing like a bunch of cards for building a complete deck of a hero for Blitz is really cool. You can have a great time playing a bunch of games currently now, and then long term, that who knows what the cards will do, appreciation down the line. And there's a lot of great resources on the FabTCG site if you're new to the game and you're like, hey, how do I build these decks? They've got a bunch of budget decks already constructed on their site that shows like the whole card list, and you can even use like 80% of those cards that you find on TCG Player, and then substitute 20% that are over $1 or such. There's a lot of great resources out there, so I'll put a link down below to that too. So yeah, let me show you the deck. I don't really do too much deck tech here, man, so bear with me. Here we go. Lowering the camera. There we go. One more notch. There we go. Okay. So, Dorinthea. We got Dorinthea the hero and Dawnblade. Basically, your bread and butter combo is this. You're going to want to attack with Dawnblade twice each turn. The way you do that is you give it go again. Also, when it hits, if it hits, Dorinthea's ability makes it so you can attack with Dawnblade a second time that turn. So mainly a lot of Dorinthea decks go full on that combo, and they're trying to get as many stacks on Dawnblade as possible. This deck does that, but it does it a little gimped. It doesn't do it to the best of that ability. It's more of a mid-range deck, but you're still trying to focus on getting as many stacks on Dawnblade as possible by hitting twice in one turn. And then after that, you just like ramp up after that. It's nuts. So for equipment, I go Ironheart Helm, and then Ironheart Plate, and finally Ironheart Gauntlets for the Ironheart set. I did that because, she's wearing Ironheart there, so I felt like it just fit the theme. There's probably a couple better common stuff to get into these slots, but hey, one block is not bad. And then Refraction Bolters, of course, for the boots. This is insanely good because you play it at instant speed, and you can make your weapon, I believe, have go again. So that's really good. Now, I want to really group up the rest of these cards and kind of explain them in groups. So the first group we have here, and I usually do this when I build any deck. So let me put this to the side. And put that right here. So this group right here is your attack reactions. These cards are what's going to make you hit with Dawnblade for the first and second time. It adds attack damage to your Dawnblade as you attack. So I think these attack action or reactions are really good for getting the stacks with Dawnblade. Honestly, I am missing the pink Iron Song responses. Those are pretty pricey at this point in time. I think they're around $3. So I didn't add those, but that's definitely a huge upgrade. And there's a bunch of other different upgrades you can add in this slot that are in other sets that are attack reactions that'll just add a bunch of damage to your attack. And if your opponent doesn't add the defense reaction, then you're able to push through some damage. The next kind of slot that I have here, these kind of can all be substituted right here. These are just a bunch of random generic cards that block for 3. This is really a mid-rangey deck. Wounded Blow is good if it's the last card in your hand. You can just play it, cost 0, attacks for 4, it's legit. If you have to block, it's all good, it blocks for 3. You have a blue pitch one there, just so you have more blue pitch. The deck is very red heavy, so you really want a lot of blue pitches. And then Raging Onslaught's just good for the block, really, and pitching when you need it. Also, to go with the blue pitch cards, we have these. Sharpened Steel is just a beef up card, and Biting Blade is attack reaction. These are mainly just to have some blues in your deck because, like I said, this doesn't have much resources in the deck overall, so it's just good to have blue pitch cards that block for some amount of damage. So the next string we have here is pretty long here. There we go. So this is your flat up boost cards that we have in our deck. So everything below Warrior's Valor is really just a straight up, this weapon gets X amount of damage, and it might have a little extra effect with Nature's Path Pilgrimage, but really you're just using these cards to add damage to your weapon swing. A lot of them are reds and pinks. Warrior's Valor Yellow is really important because it gives your attack go again if you hit. I would have definitely included the pink ones there if I had the extra budget to put in there, but I think these are now like $3 a piece or maybe $5 a piece. Those have risen as of late, but definitely an upgrade to put in red and blue Warrior's Valors. Definitely you could substitute a blue Warrior's Valor for like blue Wounding Bowl. That would be like a direct upgrade. But all in all, these are kind of like just adding straight damage to your initial attack. So very important to have those. The next part of what I'm going to show you is the bread and butter of a Dory deck. Like this, you probably can't compromise when you're building a Dory deck that's focusing on the Dawnblade, is Driving Blade. Now, what you want to do when you have a Dory deck is add damage to your attack and give your attack go again, so you're able to attack with that Dawnblade for a second time during the game or during the turn. So Driving Blade does both of these. It adds 3 for the red pitch one, right? It adds 3 to your attack and it gives go again. There's really no better card than you want than that, like in your deck. Even a blue pitch, it adds 1 to your attack and gives it go again, which is still good because if a Dawnblade comes in for 3 plus 1, which is 4, your opponent still has to give up an extra card out of their hand or block with an extra little bit to make sure you don't hit with your first attack, which will give it go again. So this is probably the bread and butter. I would never take this out of a Dory deck personally, but I don't really play Dory too much, so take that with a grain of salt. But yeah, so this is really good. So again, like the whole, this is your real attack strategy here. And what you want to do is, first, with the Dawnblade, you want to beef it up. Beef it up with these cards, beef it up with Driving Blade, and that's your first initial like damage through. Then you have a lot of your attack reactions right here, so your opponent needs a defense reaction in order to block that out. So if they block your initial damage here, you can do attack reactions to like get over, and then this is just really like pitch value and resource thread right here. So that's kind of your whole game plan is you buff up the attack and then give it go again, and then a go attack reaction to hit your first attack, and then when you're doing your second attack, if you hit then you get a counter on Dawnblade, and then next turn you just rinse and repeat. Buff up an attack, give it go again, attack twice is essentially what you're going for. Now the next couple of cards are kind of really they're kind of my strategy in Flesh and Blood. I like to dawdle and be really defensive, and this is why it's a mid-range deck. So we've got a bunch of Steelblade Shunts. Honestly, I got them mainly because they were like $1.50 each, and I thought that was ridiculous. These are rare cards, and what's really good about Steelblade Shunt is you really can't mitigate the damage. So what it does is it's a defense reaction. Blocks for 4 for the blue pitch, blocks for 5 for the yellow pitch. The red pitch one was too expensive, so I left that out. But even still, these 2 cards are great for pitch value. You pitch them in the early game, and then late game when your opponent's low on life, then those become really lethal. Because what they do is if you defense react with those cards against a weapon attack. If someone's swinging their weapon at you, it'll deal 1 damage back to them when you do that. So it's crazy is, let's say your opponent's on 2 health, right? And they attack you with their weapon. You can even overblock with 2 steel blade shunts and do 2 damage instantly to them. And the only way that they can prevent that, the only way is with like something like a Sigil of Solace, which heals them, or some damage prevention that people usually don't run in their deck as much. So it's very lethal late game, the steel blade shunts, and what's great is you can use them for pitch value early. So it's just a really fun card to use, I believe. Especially in the pro circuit, you can use steel blade shunts with the Fandale Spring Tunic. I think that provides an insane amount of value to those decks, but that's another story. But long story short, you pitch those early on, and then later game you can use it to have like a little cheeky way of finishing off your opponent. Also, they were pretty affordable in the market, so I was like, oh yeah, this is definitely collector value here since they're rares instead of commons. So the last 2 cards I have are purely utility. You have an energy potion and you have a Sigil of Solace yellow. Now, Sigil of Solace is cool because it's really a card that is referencing the Sigil of Solace, which is like this big rock in Solana, which is where Dorinthea is from, which I thought was cool. Also, I just love Sigil. It's like a 2 heal, and it kind of like gets you into the instant speed type of cards. So I thought that was cool to add. And then also Energy Potion's really nice, just as a blue pitch again, because this doesn't really have too much blue pitch in the whole deck. So it's definitely that. But also, like, let's say your opponent totally overblocks your first attack with Dawnblade, but you've also already given it go again with Driving Blade. You can just lay down the Energy Potion and just have that for your next turn. So definitely a great clutch card to have overall. And you can really set up great with it, when you're playing Dory. So all in all, this is the whole deck. Again, I purchased this for around $42 to $43 in mid-2022. And if you're trying to build this for a commoner format, it's not too bad. So basically you just get rid of these Warrior Valors here. Those are rares. Get rid of the Steel Blade Shunts, and then the Energy Potion and the Sigil of Solace. So that's 8 cards that you have to remove. You can probably just switch that out with, let's say Iron Song Red. You definitely want that. Maybe an Iron Song Blue as well. You get 2 of those. And then, I don't know, just any other type of cards. If you're trying to do a set, or if you're trying to build a deck with other sets, I mean, the world's really your oyster. Crucible War definitely has a good amount of attack reactions. Honestly, if you are using a bunch of other sets, the best would probably be take these out, take this out, take these out, and build just a ton of attack reactions. Just basically look for any attack reactions that are red pitch for Warrior, and I definitely put all of those in your deck, because the more times you can get Dawnblade to hit, if you hit it twice a turn, then you're good. There's that one card, I think it's Hit and Run. Hit and Run is extremely good in this deck as well, because it gives go again. That's the other thing, and it's really managing both of those. It's giving damage, but also giving go again. And that's why I love Driving Blade, is it gives both. So, you need a variety of that. And in this deck, the main issue is it doesn't have as much go again. It's got the Warrior Valors and the Driving Blades, but that's still only 8 cards. I think there's also... Yeah, no, actually that's it. So that's the only stuff that'll get you go again, which isn't the best spread in a Dory deck. You definitely probably want more of like 12 to 14 go again cards, and then probably 12 red attack reaction cards, I believe, and then probably 8 blues somewhere in your deck, and the rest whatever you want. But that's what's great about Flesh and Blood, is it's not, that's a typical Dory deck, but you can also build mid-range like this, and you could probably clutch a good amount of games with these cards. Get some crazy Steel Blade Shunt turn, which finishes people off that they don't expect. So it's cool to see there. But all in all, this is just a fun pure alpha deck that's more of a it's in the theme of Dorinthea, where you have the warrior type armor and the warrior type cards over here, but I didn't splurge on this. I didn't go too crazy. I didn't get the red Iron Song responses. I didn't get a lot of other like big cards for Dory that would make the deck better because I'm doing it on a budget. But I just wanted to, just make this as a challenge video, see what I could do, and yeah. So this is it. Let me know what you think, and have a good one, man.